And C and D, right?
And a D. That's what I tell my student teachers. I said, you have to have a plan A, B, C, D. And just keep on thinking. That's awesome. Yes. How well do I know? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Oh, why did it do that? Stop share. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So, and when they come on, just to give you a little bit, I'm going to make sure they need to have at least 2 pieces of paper.
Okay.
Okay. And on one sheet, they'll have yes, and on the back side, no. And the other one, A, the letter A, and then on the other one, letter B. Okay.
Awesome.
And that is if I go to that. I was thinking about it last night, and I'm still toying with what activities I'm going to do or what I'm going to have them answer. So we'll see. Okay. I'm sort of playing with it. I just don't know which way or what. I have no clue. I do have a clue. I just not sure yet as to what I'm going to actually do. I guess it all depends on how responsive and how engaging they are willing to. And I know I was on last night with Tanya Rutherford's, and you have to pull it out of them. They're not freely answer. Same way with my student teachers.
Yep.
You know,
I tried something today called a waterfall just to get them going. And I
That's
had
it.
them do the waterfall in the chat just to
Yep.
get something going.
It's
you know?
something. Exactly.
We all need to warm up.
I know. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Do you all have snow there, or in Mercersburg? You have snow?
Yeah, it snowed about probably close to a foot and a half a couple weeks back, and then we got another quick layer. So it's still very snowy outside.
I do not miss any of that. None of that. Give me California any day. Hey, Jason.
And you're consistent, Denise. I remember that you told me you don't miss the snow.
Don't miss it at all. I was a friend of mine. I was on Facebook a few minutes ago, and they were showing me the snow in Memphis, but it's ice, it's ice underneath, and he drives a truck, and I'm like, why are you out there driving a semi on ice? That is ridiculous. And then, of course, I called my mother-in-law and said, see, this is why I'm not moving back. I refuse to move back.
I bet it shuts down the city in Memphis. They probably don't get snow that often.
Not that often, but they're used to it. But
they get some, okay, yeah.
But not ice. Not ice. That's the thing. Not ice. Not ice. But anyway, so Tim, about how many are we expecting on this one?
It looks like we have around 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Okay,
16
that's
students.
okay. That's like me teaching my class. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll
Denise,
be okay.
I'm going to have to, I have a meeting at 2:30, but I wanted to make sure that I could pop in and just say hi and thank you again. And,
No problem.
I'll be quiet in the background, and I'm sure you're going to do great. And I know you were on Tanya's session last night. I don't know if you've been able to come to some of the other ones, but they've been awesome. And,
yeah.
I'll share with you that there was one that was, it was actually a parent of an alum, and she goes, she did a great session about HBCUs, and then she goes, I was talking to her afterwards, and she goes, I'm so glad you're doing this. This is so good than just talking about Harriet Tubman, which is like the classic February school thing. And it's just been great. I was kind of jumping in and out of Tanya's session because we had another one that was, it was 3 young guys that did sports and STEM in college. And so they were talking about how to be a college athlete, but all our students are hearing it from a Black alum.
And that's what I am happy to see, that it's from a different standpoint. And I'm glad that you're using us, because we have made a difference.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's not, I'm not good at tooting my own horn.
Sure.
Therefore, you're not going to really know, except for when I got my doctorate. I did let you all know that. It was like, okay, I know I'm doing things, but nobody really knows what I'm doing. And the whole objective of this for me is for them to see that you can do it no matter what the odds are.
Yeah.
You can do it. And if I can do it, I know others can do it. And I wanted to jump into the others, but with this California time and
Oh
then
yeah.
teaching and all this other stuff, it was hard. And I would have to have set my alarm to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning for a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not a morning
No,
person.
it's been great. I mean, I think it's great for our Black students to see Black alum and our white students to see Black alum doing it.
Exactly.
I was, but it's been great, and we couldn't do it without your guys' help, of course. And I realized, you probably didn't realize how serious I was when I saw you last year, and I said, Denise, we want to find ways to celebrate you, and you're like, oh, whatever. And before you know it,
you are right. You are right. I was like, okay, all right. And I was okay with it if you hadn't, but I do appreciate it because not only that, it's helped me build I want to use my self-confidence. And I've also, for the podcast, I had my student teachers to listen. I said, if you listen, you'll get, because they need some hours.
Oh, yeah.
Hour, that sort of thing. And it was eye-opening for them.
Sure.
And then some of my other friends who knew that I went to Mercersburg, my close, friends, they listened to it and they said, wow, okay, that's good. So I've never done a podcast. So that was quite interesting. So now I'm trying to figure out how to have my student teachers do a podcast spring quarter so I haven't figured out exactly what yet, but
that's awesome.
But I appreciate the fact that you didn't just say the words, but you followed it up with action.
But I've got to make sure that I'm telling that they know that when I say it, I mean it too.
Yeah. Well, I can say that you did. I can back you up on that.
Selfishly, I also listened to the podcast, and it was great. And then I did a little bit of research on my own just to be prepared. I mean, what's so amazing about your career is that you've done it at every level. And I mean, it's like the metaphor of someone eventually owning their own business, but starting at the very ground level and understanding every level of that business. And I know in my own career, I've had administrators that only had 2 or 3 years or 5 years of teaching experience, and then they bounced to administration. It's like, well, wait a second, like, did you really get your hands dirty enough? But seeing your career and just how you've been in every situation, and now being able to pass that on to future teachers, like I still remember my college professors and what effect they had on me, and just it gave me the confidence to go into it with, I can do this. So thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. And will all the different sessions, will they be available for us to watch later?
Yeah. So a couple of people chose not to have theirs recorded. Are we recording this? Are you okay with us recording?
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
And I don't know if someone from communications will come in, but I might take some pictures as well.
Okay.
To just so we can put on our social media or whatever. But I would say 90% of them have been recorded, and we'll find a way that we can to share it, because one of the great things about Zoom is that we can get people from all over, and we can also record it like we couldn't do as well if you were coming in.
Right. That'll be good, because Max Gilliam, class of 7, I really wanted to hear him, but of course it was during a time I couldn't. And I really would like, because I haven't connected with him.
Oh man, he was awesome. He was
good.
Yeah. Did your class is 76, right? So did you know him when you guys were students?
I knew him when I was there. Yes.
What a sweet guy he is.
He's a very nice. Is he a doctor?
A dentist, yeah.
Dentist, okay. Dentist, okay.
What a sweet guy he is, and a Southerner too. Which you probably, he's from North Carolina, but
right,
not quite Alabama, but
not quite.
All right, Tim, are you guys set? I'm probably just gonna sneak back and listen in but I'm gonna have to take off, kind of mid-session in here.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I think
all
we
right,
are.
Good to see you, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Edwards, you mentioned Carl Reisner in the podcast. That's part of the reason why I am at Mercersburg. This is my second year, and
okay.
Carl Reisner, his financial advisor is my brother-in-law, so his
Oh, okay.
retirement advisor.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
Carl mentioned to my brother-in-law, like, hey, I was looking for a position. This is my now 15th year of teaching. I was teaching in a public school in Maryland for the last, for 13 years prior to this. And it was Carl that told my brother-in-law, and sent my application in and came to Mercersburg and just fell in love. So
Okay.
just an amazing man.
Yeah, he
Amazing
really
man.
is. I really liked him. He had this wit about him, and I had to get used to it. But
Yeah.
he and his wife, yes, exactly. Okay, slowly but surely coming in. All right. I believe I could show my PowerPoint and I could still talk. I believe that's what happened. Yeah, my student teachers tell me all the time they can see me and the PowerPoint. But I want to be able to, and but I might need your help with, if I do that one little activity with the yes, no, A and B, I might need you to look to see what the
Sure.
answers are, just to sort of give me a feel for what they're saying. I should be able to see it, but I never know when I do the PowerPoints.
Yeah, Kim, do you have to give her host ability for her to share a screen, or can she
Oh,
do?
I have it.
Already
You
done
do have
that.
it, okay.
Yes, I have it.
You're late to the party, Jason.
Then who's letting people in? Are you letting people in also, Denise, or Kim, you're doing that?
Nope. Nobody has.
I am doing that.
Okay. Coming slowly but surely. And I have a feeling I don't know, we'll see how long this actually takes, because like I said, I keep changing things. So we just never know, but it won't be any more than 45 minutes. And then there'll be time for questions or whatever. I don't know. Once I start talking, tell them where I'm going.
Yeah, I thought it's been funny. Everyone's like, I'm only gonna talk for 10 minutes, and then they get going. You know,
I
and
know.
it's awesome.
Exactly. And if they talk, that'll make it even more interesting. Hi, Dwayne.
Hey,
Hi. And I see Jamil. Those two names I recognize. Okay. Okay, hello, is that Miles? Hi, how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm fine. Elizabeth. Is Elizabeth or Liz?
Elizabeth,
Elizabeth, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Is that Kirsten?
Hi, yeah, it's Kirsten.
Hi, Kirsten. Okay, nice to meet you. Frank, are you on?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Good morning, how are you? I mean, it's afternoon there. Okay, Jason, I already met. Let's see, Alexander Edwards?
You can call me Alex.
Alex, okay. Hi, how are you, Alex? And Jake?
Hello.
Hi, okay. Matthew,
Hello.
good morning. And is it Leilani?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how are you? Aiden,
Hello.
good morning. And Jamil, good morning. And of course, I say good morning to Dwayne. While we're waiting, if that's okay with you, Tim, I just want everybody, you'll need 2 sheets of paper. Okay, if you'll just have 2 sheets of paper available, and you'll need either a marker, dark marker, or ink pen, something like that, okay? Just have that available, because we will be doing something with that later on, an activity, okay? All right, I'm sorry, Tim.
No problem. I was just I was marking down who we have here. And I think it's 2:02. Maybe give 30 more seconds to allow everyone to join us, and then we will get rolling
Okay.
here. Louis is here, right? Louis, you there? Louis? Louis? Ariana, hello? Okay.
Okay.
So we will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We are in for a treat today. I just want to thank everybody for being here and offering your attention. And as you saw at the beginning, Dr. Edwards is going to ask all of our students to participate. So while we ask that we invite everyone to have their camera on and their mics muted for right now until it's time to participate. But if you don't feel comfortable with your cameras on at a certain point when you are asked to show your paper, and Dr. Edwards will explain that, we do ask that you turn your camera on so you can be as involved in this talk as possible. So today we welcome Dr. Denise Edwards. She is from the class, she graduated in the class of 1976. If you just do a little bit of digging on her career, you would be amazingly impressed. She has a PhD and teaches at UC Riverside in California, but she has worked at every level of education as an elementary school teacher, a unified teacher, a high school teacher, administrator, and now the people who are training to become teachers are under her tutelage. So it's amazing to have her here. And Dr. Edwards, I pass the mic on to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know Jen, Bradley, and to you and to Katie Titus and everybody who was involved with this particular program. I just want to say thank you. I think it's been great. I think it's been awesome because we're getting to tell our stories and you get to hear the positive side of what we have done, what we as African Americans have done. So I say thank you for that. And like Tim said, I am the class of 76. And we're going to do a short little activity. You don't need your paper and pencil yet, but we're going to do a short activity because I did welcome you. I didn't get to say good morning to Ariana, but good morning, Ariana. Good morning to Victoria. I'm trying to see who else. To Lewis, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And I hope that by the end of the session, I have inspired you. That's the main thing, that I have inspired you. But before we do that, I really do need you to go around and tell me a little bit about you. And there's just several things that I want to know. One, I want to, your name, your hometown, and where you're living right now, because even though I know your hometown might be one place, but you actually might be living somewhere else. What year you're in at school. And I'm changing something. I was going to have you to answer why you're at Mercersburg, but instead, I want to know, what do you hope to get out of this session? What do you hope to get out of this? And I'm going to take a few notes, so I'm hoping that maybe I might be touching on it. Okay, so your name, hometown and where you're living right now, what year you are in at Mercersburg, and what do you hope to get out of this session? And you have to remember, I am a teacher. I have been a teacher for the past 40 years. And my student teachers know every Monday night when we have our 3-hour class, I need to see their faces. And there's a reason why I would like to see your face. And that is because I can get a feel for what you might be thinking or whatever the case may be. So if you would please oblige me, if at all possible, please put your picture. Thank you for putting that on there. Please share your name, hometown, year, and what do you hope to get out of this session. Just going to do a quick run through, and then we'll continue. I promise to try to keep you engaged. I really do. And I do have a PowerPoint, but I'd rather see your faces instead right now. Okay, can we start with Miles? Would you start first, please?
Yeah, no problem. My name is Miles Magincalda. I grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, not too far from Mercersburg. I now live in Hagerstown, Maryland. I'm a 10th at Mercersburg. And what I want to get from this session is really just more knowledge. I don't really know too much about what it's like, what it was like back in that time. So just more knowledge, I'd say, just to learn a little bit more about it.
Okay. All right. What year are you?
I'm a 10th grader.
10th grader. Okay. Dwayne, do you mind? Or we could pass. Okay, go ahead. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll go. I'm Dwayne Parks, and I'm a Mercersburg alumni. Graduated class in '92. I grew up all over the place, but I guess I consider my hometown to be Houston, Texas. Currently, I live in Denver, Colorado, and what I hope to get out of this is, Denise, your story seems really interesting. So I'm curious to learn more about your story and what your experience has been, and to hear what the experience is for, these students that are at Mercersburg now. And also selfishly, I'm doing one of these tomorrow. So I want to steal the things you do really well, and incorporate that into my discussion tomorrow morning.
Thank you. You're awesome. And actually, Dwayne, that's why I was on Tanya's yesterday too, to get a feel for it. So thank you. Okay, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Flaherty. I'm a senior. I was born and raised in Needmore, Pennsylvania, but I also live in Erie, PA. And I'd say the biggest thing I want to get out of this is probably just a motivational experience. And I'm also very curious about what Mercersburg was like.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Kirsten.
Hi, my name is Kirsten. I'm from Pottstown, Pennsylvania, but I was born in Philadelphia. I'm in 12th grade, and I just like to hear like stories about Mercersburg from the past, but especially from women, because I know it was a much different time then. So that's what I'm most interested in.
Okay, thank you. Jamil. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here, Denise. My name is Jamil Myri. I graduated class of 1993 from the ARC ages. I'm a parent of a freshman or first year student. So that's a new sort of relationship for me to have with Mercersburg. I have had the great fortune of serving on the Board of Regents for over 2 decades. I'm on a break right now, so feeling good, doing well. And I hail originally from Bronx, New York, and came to Mercersburg from the Bronx, and now living between New York City and Crestkill, New Jersey, which is just across the bridge.
Okay.
As far as what I would like to get from this, I have also had the great fortune of being able to pipe into almost all of these. So I just am soaking it up. I'm a sponge. I just really am so excited to see everyone's panels and kind of just see how the students kind of gravitate to it and learn from it, and how engaged they are. So just very curious. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank. I'm a 10th grader, and I grew up in Kennedyville, Maryland, which is on the eastern shore of Maryland. I still live there today, and I hope to get more out of this session than what I came in with.
Okay. And what year are you?
I'm a 10th grader.
That's right. I think you did say it. Thank you. All right. I hope you go away with more than what you came in with also. Okay. Thank you. Ariana.
Hi, I'm Ariana Campy, and I'm also from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, but I live in Easton, Maryland. And I grew up and I was born there, and I'm in 11th grade. And what I want to hear about is your experience, because I think it's really interesting to hear what Mercersburg was back in, back in the day, and then like what Kirsten was talking about, especially, from a woman's perspective as well.
Okay. Thank you. Jason.
Sure. I'm Jason Brashatsky, and I work in the alumni office at Mercersburg. I've been here for 24 years, but I originally grew up in Connecticut. And I'm here, I'm fortunate in that I've met Denise before and gotten to work with her with different projects before. And so I'm here partly, to show support for Denise, but also because every time that I've gotten to hear from her, I've been able to pick up new things. So I'm excited to be able to learn more about her and hear more about her story also.
All right, thank you. Aiden.
Hi, my name is Aiden. I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I grew up in Hagerstown, Maryland, which is where I live now. And I was interested by the title, adversity and overcoming struggles is something that interests me, and it'd be cool to hear about it from another person's perspective.
Okay, thank you, Aiden. Kim.
Sorry about that. My name is Kim Richards. I work here at Mercersburg. I've been here in the academic office for 8 years now. I live in McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania, which is just over the mountain here from Mercersburg. I actually got to choose what session I wanted to be the moderator for, or the facilitator, whatever one I am. So I found your title very interesting and intriguing. So that's what brought me here to your session. So I'm interested in learning more, like they said, about the overcoming struggles and stuff like that. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Leilani.
Hi, I'm Leilani. I'm a freshman and I'm from Ashton, Maryland. And what I hope to get out of this session is probably just like a better understanding of what Mercersburg was like in the past.
Okay. All right, thank you. Alexander.
Hi, I'm a senior and I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, pretty much all my life. And I just came to this talk because the title seemed the most interesting to me.
Okay, all right, thank you. Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm a senior here. I'm from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. I was born here too. And I don't know, I just wanted to learn about like the history of Mercersburg.
Okay, I guess that's saying that because I'm older that I should have some history there. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Jake.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm from Nassau, Bahamas. I'm a sophomore, and I came to learn about your experience at Mercersburg.
Okay, and thank you, Jake. Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm from Moscow, Russia, and that's where I currently live. I'm senior at Mercersburg, and I just hope to get to know your story and like the understanding of what it's like, because like, there is no such thing in Russia.
Okay. Oh, okay. That should be quite interesting. Russia. Thank you. Taylor. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. My name's Taylor Shepard. I'm a senior from Mercersburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm super excited to hear your story and your time at Mercersburg.
Okay, thank you. Louis or Louise?
Lewis, and
okay.
I'm a 22 and I'm from Mercersburg, and I came to this talk because I think it's going to be really interesting to hear about your experiences at Mercersburg from the past.
Okay, thank you. Did I get everybody? Did I miss anybody? If I did, please jump in and let me know that I did. Okay, thank you all for sharing that. And I've got a feel for what it is that I am going to do. I'm going to start telling you about my journey. The objective of this is that for anybody who may be frustrated, wondering what's going on, or whatever the case may be, it's just to give you some hope that yes, you can do it. And my life growing up was not the easiest, and I'm not saying that anybody's is. And what would make my story any more different from maybe yours or anybody else's is what I call resiliency, stick-to-itiveness, that it can be done. And as we go throughout, you'll find out what I'm talking about when I say you can do it. I really never dreamed that I would be where I am now, doing what I'm doing. I really didn't. Mercersburg was, what's that word I'm looking for? It helped set me on the path. It helped me be aware and be ready for whatever may come. At this point, I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Hopefully it works correctly. Let me see. Wait a minute. Nope, hold on. I want to share, so I got to go to the share screen. Now I can do share, and it did that again. Hold on. And you all don't see anything, right? Stop share. All right, we're going to see if this works, right? If not, I will go, like I told Tim, I will go to my next plan, which is I'll just talk about it because I do have it all written out. Share. Okay. From the beginning. Do you all see that?
Yeah.
Do you see that PowerPoint? Yes? Okay, now just to make it larger. There we go. From the beginning. Okay, here we go. Now we can go. And like I said, my title is My Journey, Stop Making Excuses. You know, the more I'm with student teachers and I'm at the schools, everybody has an excuse for something. But we have to stop making those excuses. Let's begin here with the journey. My hometown is Maryland. I don't know if you've ever heard of Fort Washington Forest, Maryland, Oxon Hill, Maryland. Actually, it was a little town called Friendly, Maryland, believe it or not. I still remember the address and everything. That is where I grew up. I was with my biological parents until age 3. Now, if you ask me anything about that, I really can't tell you a whole lot. I don't remember anything before that age, before age 3. I started in a foster home at the age of 3. And that continued on. I was there for about 10 years. Then I ended up at Mercersburg, and we'll get into how that actually happened. And I went to another foster family, and I was with them while I was at Mercersburg, but it was only for a short period of time. And then I ended up then asking if my oldest sister would be my guardian, because I didn't want to go to another foster home. That's all there was to it. And my sister did take me in, but you could say that I was pretty much on my own. That's the bottom line. I was on my own. Altogether, I have a total, there was a total of 11 children that my parents had. There were 4 girls, 7 brothers. I think I was somewhere, I was like right in the middle. There were 5 before me, 5 under me. And as of this point, I have 2 deceased sisters and 2 deceased brothers. And of course, my biological parents are deceased. Otherwise, they'd be 93 years old right now, something like that. But anyway, a little bit also is that I did go to public school all the way up until I went to Mercersburg. And I was a hard worker. I'm not saying that I was a straight A student, because I was not, but I did work hard. I worked hard because in my mind, the philosophy was I wanted to please my foster parents. That's the bottom line. I wanted to please them. So it meant making good grades. I did whatever it took, but I also used that time, especially when I was in junior high, I took advantage of every opportunity that I could at school to stay at school after school, because I didn't want to go home. I did not want to go home. That was my escape, but yet I did everything that I possibly could. And that meant a lot to me because, again, you all know the statistics of those who go into foster homes. They're not very high. And unless you get the right foster home with the right foster parents, the statistics are you're not going to make it. And I wanted to show that, yes, I would make it. And that's it. And everything that I did was geared towards that. You see up there at the top that I do have a Greyhound bus. Well, that's how I ended up at Mercersburg, on the Greyhound bus. And I remember when I was there that I saw other students coming in there with their butlers driving them, or the fancy cars, or the parents with the U-Hauls. I came in with one big purple suitcase, okay? and a tote bag. That was it. Nothing else when I came to Mercersburg. So that's a little bit of the background part of before I got to Mercersburg. Now, just to keep you interested and engaged, this is when you need to have your paper. On one side, on one sheet of paper, write the word yes, and then flip it over on the back and write no. On the other sheet of paper, your second sheet, write the big A on one side, and then on the other side, put the letter B. This is just a little something I believe in every so often because I know people get tired and their minds are going elsewhere and so forth. So just a little activity, just for me to get to know you maybe even a little bit better. So one sheet of paper, yes or no. Yes, and then no, and then the other one, A and B. I just want you to hold it up, and Tim, if you wouldn't mind, just let me know what the results are real quickly, just the majority. Your preference, A, mountains, B, beaches. Just hold up whichever one. If you'll hold it up on the camera, please. On 1, 2, 3, hold it up. Okay, I'm waiting. Tim, are they? I don't see everything. I see B. I can see some of them. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of the B's. Okay, so it looks like everybody likes, the majority of you prefer beaches versus the mountains, and I love the beach. I think that's why I like being out here in California. But also out here in California, I can go up to the mountains if I want to the snow, which I don't go up there. But in the summertime, if I want to go where it's nice and cool, up to the mountains, but I also have the beaches. Next one, your preference, A or B? A, running, B, walking. A, running, B, walking. I know it might be, I should have had you all use dark markers because it's kind of hard to see there. Okay, I'm seeing B, I've seen A. Tim, would you say it's probably about even, or is it more of the B's, walking?
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, it looks about even.
Okay.
A.
Okay, looks about, for me, it was running until I got older, and now it's all about walking instead. All right, thank you. Your preference, A, spring, B, the fall. Which one is your preference? A, I see A, spring. I'm looking, might have to hold up a little bit closer so we can see it, or make it darker. Okay, I see B. Okay, mine, let's see. When I was at Mercersburg, I loved the fall. It was beautiful in the fall. Even though spring is my favorite, but at Mercersburg, it was definitely the fall of the year, and I do miss that. Have you lived on campus pre-COVID? Yes or no? Just, and again, this is your yes and no one. So if you'll go to your yes and no sheet. Yes, see yes. Let's see, I'm trying to see what else do I see. Yes, yes, no for some. So most of you have lived on campus pre-COVID. Next one, was it your choice to go to Mercersburg? Yes or no? Okay, okay, change that to yes. Looks like, not sure what I'm seeing there. Oh, I see no, okay. I see yes. I see yes. Okay, so there's several no's in there and some yes. The last question, when things get tough, life, grades, or whatever, do you have a good support system? Yes or no? When things get tough, do you have a good support system? Okay, I see people putting their, I know it's a little hard for me to see, but thank you for those who are writing it. I see the big yes, that's good, yes. Okay, looks like you all do have a good support system. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, thank you. That was just to get you a little bit engaged. Mercersburg was a way out for me. It was a way out. The way that I ended up even getting to Mercersburg my first foster parents, set of foster parents who I had been with for 10 years, had lived with for 10 years. I was the only child there. My brother, one of my brothers was there with me for a little while, but then I guess they just didn't want any males. So he ended up leaving. And so it left me, but I was with them for 10 years. And my first foster mother ended up with cancer and ended up passing away. Well, of course, I couldn't stay there with my foster father, but my caseworker luckily said, hey, we might have a way out for you. And that is when I filled out all these papers and everything for Mercersburg and for a scholarship program called A Better Chance. And if it wasn't for that, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure where I would be at this point, but being able to get that scholarship and know that everything was going to be paid for, I could go to school. And I was one of those, because I was a loner and I was an introvert, this was perfect for me, to be able to get away. And I remember the first time that I went to Mercersburg, I went on the bus, and I remember that the bus stopped in downtown Mercersburg. I don't remember there being any stoplights, but it stopped at this little store. And I got out. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time ever being away from home. And here I was, I sat behind the bus driver because I was, of course, scared to death, didn't know what to expect, get off. And that's when I met Don Hill. And Don Hill met me. We went on up to the campus, and that's when I met Diane Winter and some others that I don't remember all their names, but they showed me around. I spent a couple of days there on the campus. I guess that was my interview and so forth and so forth. And at that point, it was like, okay, let me plan, let me think, how am I going to make this work for me? Help make me a better person. So I was excited that I was going to be coming back. Well, in the meantime, my foster mother passing, going to Mercersburg, I ended up going to another foster home. And actually, I don't know how I had met this person, but I used to go walking, and she was walking, and we struck up a friendship. And so I was shy enough, but yet bold enough to ask her when my foster mother died, would you take me in? Can I live with you? Because she just seemed like such a wonderful person. And she and her husband talked about it, and they did. They accepted me. And it was a totally different foster home from the first one. Okay. And this one, there were more opportunities for different things. For travel, just a whole different lifestyle. So I went there. They took me to Mercersburg. They were proud of me to go to Mercersburg. Not really sure what happened while I was at Mercersburg, but I ended up not living with them. And I remember my caseworker coming down telling me, you won't be living there anymore. And I don't know what happened. I lost some contact along the way and so forth. And it was really heartbreaking for me. And for me to be there at Mercersburg, it was like, okay, Denise, now you're totally on your own. A little heartbreaking. However, some act out in different ways. Mine was, I'm just going to put my head, my mind to what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hit the books, and I'm going to do what's necessary to make it. So I was there at Mercersburg from 73 to 76. Like I said, I got the scholarship from A Better Chance. I was a 10th grader when I went. Tippett's Hall was my dorm at the time. I was in the choir. I took piano lessons. But it was probably some of the loneliest times for me as a teenager, being there at Mercersburg. And you have to understand, the year that I went, I think the year before was the first year that they had admitted females into Mercersburg. So that was different. I don't think Mercersburg was ready at the time for females. I really don't, because you had all these male teachers, and don't take this the wrong way, white male teachers And don't forget, I'm coming from an era where, you know, we had desegregation and we had the civil rights movement and everything. And here I'm coming in, I did not feel, let's put it this way. At first, I did not feel accepted. I really did not. But yet, I wasn't going to let that overshadow what I wanted to do. My thing was take advantage of everything that you can take advantage of. But it was a very lonely time. The students at that particular time, my group, they were okay. I'm not going to say that they were all that happy about having Black students. I was one of the few, I had white roommates and we got along fine. But if you know me, you know that I can get along with anybody. So we went through, but it was lonely for me because it was a new environment. I felt like there was nobody who cared about me. There was a lot of feelings of worthlessness. And I'm glad in a way, but I felt like going there was just an escape route. It was just totally escape from reality. And I don't know that the teachers at the time knew how to work with us, period. That was also during the time of what? I think it was, Black Power and so forth. Mercersburg was not ready. It was not ready for all of that. And I really didn't even know for me how I wanted to be, which way I wanted to go. But we made it through the 10th grade year. I struggled. Classes were not the easiest. If you listen to my podcast, you'll know that I did earlier in January. You'll see who all were my favorite teachers or those who made a big impact on me. But yet I looked forward to, I went home to my sister, who was my guardian at the time, for the summer. And I just remember the headmaster, Walter Bergen, writing me this letter, which gave me the hope that I needed to have. Well, in the meantime, during my 10th grade year, they had the school year abroad program. There was a promotion for it or whatever. And I remember my Spanish teacher saying, that might be something you might want to do. And again, don't forget, I was willing to be adventurous. I was ready to go do whatever. And here it is. I ended up in Barcelona, Spain. That was an awesome year. Going, and never did I know in my wildest dreams that going abroad and learning Spanish was going to come back and help me in the long run. But again, I took advantage of any and all opportunities that I possibly could. Came back after being in Barcelona, Spain, my senior year. I was a prefect. I think that's what they call them. I used to call them proctors, but prefect. I worked on the yearbook and so forth. And it was rough because I was applying to colleges and so forth, and just still trying to find myself. Graduation time came, and nobody from my family came. Nobody. I do remember that they had gotten a hold of my mother, which, mind you, I had never seen my mother, my biological mother. Let's put it this way. Up until age 3, they said I lived with her, but I can't tell you that I know what she looked like. I ended up at Mercersburg, and they were bringing her from New York. She was catching the bus to come to graduation. She never made it to graduation. We're not really sure whatever happened. She ended up turning around and going back to New York, I guess, when she had to make a connection. And so at my graduation, my high school, my senior grad, nobody was there from family. My sister was late getting there. She had gotten lost driving, and she just basically came to help me pick up my stuff and take me home for the summer. It was not a good time. Let me put it like that, to have nobody there. But I can say that I had classmates who were so kind. And I'm just going to throw her name out there, Nancy Lawrence, very good friend of mine. We're still in contact today. Nancy's parents, they made sure that I had graduation gifts. They were there. They made sure that I had a good graduation. So I appreciated that. But as we continue on, after Mercersburg, after graduation, I did work there at Mercersburg at the camp. with Coach Pat Berry, the swim camp. I was the secretary, so I made my money, earned it so that I could go on to college. I ended up at an HBCU. For those that don't know the terminology, HBCU, higher. Now I can't even think of it. Black. Okay, help me out here.
Historically Black colleges and
Thank you.
universities.
Thank you. I don't know why I wanted to say higher. Historically Black colleges and universities. And I should know it because I went to one in Huntsville, Alabama. Oakwood, it was Oakwood College at the time, but now it's Oakwood University. It was basically a small Christian college. Okay. I think at the time we may have had 1,000 students. I don't know. But if we had 1,000, come to think of it. But I went there for my undergrad and I received my my Bachelor of Arts in elementary education. From there, I ended up going to teach in Selma, Alabama. And you know, Selma, Alabama has a lot of history. Yes, when I first went to Selma, there was, what was that? How can I put it? They still had the blacks, the coloreds only, and the whites only signs on the water fountains. That was in 1980. No, I'm sorry, 76. No, 80. I graduated in 80. They still had those signs. I have pictures of it still. There was still a lot of racism. It was definitely shown, but I didn't let that deter me. And again, I made it through college, undergrad, and don't ask me how, but I never had to I took out one loan for $300. That was it, the whole 4 years. And I graduated just owing $300, which ended up being forgiven because I was working in Selma, Alabama, which was considered a lower income Title I area. I ended up there. I started a school, a K-8 school at the time there. And it was one of those schools where, you know, you've seen on Little House on the Prairie, where, you know, you go in, you have the wood burning stove, you go in the morning. Yes, I did all of that. Go in and cook in the lunches and I didn't have a car my first year. I walked 1.5 miles every morning. If I didn't get a ride with my next door neighbor, I walked to school. I didn't have money for a car. That's all there was to it. Everybody else, those that when we graduated were getting cars and this and that. I didn't have one, but I was determined enough that I was going to make it work. And I did make it work. After school, I would get a ride with a parent or I would just walk back home. If it rained, I really did try to make sure I got a ride to work, but otherwise I walked. I started the school. By the time I left there, the students, I think we were up to 30 students. I was there for 2 years, 30 students, when we started off with none. And it's still going forward. It's still moving ahead. From Selma, I ended up going to Louisville, Kentucky. As you can see, I've been all over the place. So yesterday, when Tanya Rutherford was doing her super connector, I started thinking about my time there, my time in Louisville, Kentucky, teaching. While I was in Louisville, I ended up getting married, and I've been married as of February 5th, 37 years. I'm still married to the same person. We haven't killed each other yet. Then I went ahead and I got my master's because we ended up moving to Mississippi. And while we were there, I went to Mississippi State University. That's where I got received my master's in teaching. That's what it was. A short little story about being in Mississippi. In Mississippi, when I went, it was in the middle of the year because we were in Michigan at the seminary, went to Mississippi, and I went in for my first interview. My first interview, the principal had a big old Confederate flag behind him. Now, I could have turned away and said, I am not, first of all, I didn't want to be in Mississippi, but we didn't have a choice. But I could have turned around and I could have said, no, I am not doing this. But I ended up, okay, you want a job, you have, and I remember the first thing he said was, why are you here? We don't need you. And I said, well, you need a teacher you said you needed a first grade teacher, first or second grade teacher, and you wanted somebody who could come in the middle of the year and do this and do that. I have everything that you need. So you need me. And he ended up accepting me. And I ended up, and of course they were splitting up a class. So I got, of course, all the students who were rough, bad behavior, this and that. No problem. I took them. And I ended up being teacher of the year that year because of what I had done and where I had taken them. And again, I was happy. You can give me the slow students, you can give me the misbehaving students, because it gives me something to work with. And I knew that I could work with them. Went on, ended up out in California, in the Riverside. First, it was the LA area, then the Riverside area. I received my ed specialist degree, which is that degree between the master's and the doctorate in the field of education. I got that in administration leadership. And then just 5 years ago, I received my doctorate. I worked on that doctorate. Now, why did I go get a doctorate at such a later age? I wanted to show my girls, I have 2 adult daughters. I wanted to show them that it can be done. All the way through school, I never did well on my standardized test. I did terrible. I did horrible. And the GRE staff said that I would not ever be able to make it in graduate school. But I did. My master's, pretty much an A, straight A, 4.0. Ed specialist, same thing. Now the doctorate on that level, some of the classes, when you start taking statistics and all that, I didn't do so good with that. But I mean, I still made a decent grade. But the bottom line is I received a doctorate. Nobody thought that I would, but I did in administration leadership. So that's why I'm proud to be Dr. Denise Edwards. And for a female African-American, that's even more astounding because there's so few that have a doctorate and that they're female and they're Black. So again, those stepping stones, I made it. I'm looking at my time. I see I have about 15 minutes as we continue on. And this is just to show you that coming from a foster home, a not so good environment, and trying to make it on my own, where I've come to. I've been an administrator, and like Tim said, let's go back to teaching first. I have been a teacher for at least 17 years, and it has been on all levels. You name it, elementary, middle school, high school, and now on higher ed, all levels. I have been an administrator, principal on all the levels. And it's just amazing to even think that I would even be there. I recently, and I like to throw this in, I didn't put it on here, I was considered for several superintendents of education of several conferences. And to me, that was such an honor to think that and I was basically a very quiet person. Nobody really knew me, even at Mercersburg. I was the quiet one. I just went to class, did what I needed to do, stuck to myself, introvert. Friday nights, I was usually either at the library or I might have been at the pool swimming, or I might have been out running the track. But that was me, an introvert. I love to read. But here it is. After all of that, I retired from the public school era about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years now. And I ended up at the University of California, Riverside. Now, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher, but then later on in life, I wanted to go ahead and work at college. Never thought it would happen. Now, how I got there is another whole story, which I'm not going to go into, but I'm at the University of California, which is a big deal out here in Riverside. And I'm a supervisor of teacher education. So I get to train other students to become teachers. This is on the graduate level. So they're doing their master's while they're also getting their teaching credential. I'm also the bilingual coordinator. Never knew that I would end up using that experience from Barcelona, Spain to get me this particular job. In fact, I've even had to use it when I was an administrator as a principal. So many meetings are conducted in Spanish because we have a high population of Spanish speakers, but I was able to use it and I actually still understood it. I don't speak it as fluently as I would like, but reading, writing, I'm doing all of that. So, and it was just interesting that that's how I ended up with this job, because they needed somebody in the middle of the year to cover, and that person was over all the bilingual students. I got the job because I didn't have to be perfect, but I had the experience. And I also lecture there. I'm also a coach for new administrators for the county, for Riverside County. Never thought that would be, but that's just something that I like to do. I like to coach. I like to help others. And I'm also on several California Department of Education work committees and revising this and revising that and so forth. So it's kind of cool. But I say all that, and again, I'm not trying to boast myself, but while you're there at Mercersburg, there's a lot of things that go through your mind. You might get involved with things that you know you probably shouldn't get involved with. It can be a lonely time. It can be, and for whatever reason that you're there, or that you didn't want to be there, but you are there, it doesn't mean that you can make excuses for anything. I didn't make an excuse. Even if I was sick when I was at Mercersburg, I still tried to go to class. I only went to class if I just really could not make it and I was quarantined or for whatever. But the bottom line is, don't make an excuse. Just take every opportunity that you possibly can. Yesterday, we had to talk about something that was unique about us. I have traveled so many places. I have traveled to 49 out of 50 states at this point. And I don't mean just drive, fly by, I'm in the airport or whatever, places that I've actually been in each of those 49 states. Alaska is the only state left, only state, and that was going to be done, but the pandemic hit. So once that hit, I only take the COVID test if I need to. So I didn't want to go. But anyway, I love to travel overseas, been to the continent of Africa, been to Europe. Right now, my youngest daughter is in China. She was in South Korea first. I think she was there 4 years teaching English. Now she's in China, Shenzhen, and she's still teaching English there. And I say all that because I think she's taken after me with the travel, and we're just taking advantage of everything. Don't let anything hold you back. As I close out, I just have some words of wisdom that I want to pass on to you that helped me along the way. And I have to admit, I have a faith, I'm faith-based, and that has helped me tremendously. When I felt like giving up, like nobody cared, including while I was there at Mercersburg, and that I just didn't have any friends or whatever, that kept me going, and it still does. But here's some words of wisdom for you. Don't sweat the small stuff. That can do, if you let it get to you, it will bring you down. Instead, choose to be happy. I'm one of those, and people look at me sometimes, okay, Denise, why are you saying that? But I try to look on the positive side. Try not to look at the negativity. Look at what it can do for you or what you can do. Recognize that you can't do it all by yourself. You can't. You have to ask for help. I started off that way thinking that I have to do this. I have to make this journey all on my own. No, you don't. No, you don't. Ask for help. Be reflective. Have your plans. Like this morning when I came in, I said, okay, I've got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C if technology doesn't want to work right, or if I see that maybe I'm not keeping you all interested. All right. Be reflective. Think about what you're doing, where you want to go, what you think you might want to do. Make your plans. Weigh the consequences. Just know, and I say this in particular being there at Mercersburg, weigh the consequences if you do something that is not what you're supposed to be doing or whatever it is. Just know that there are consequences, but yet at the same time, wait and see if it's really worth what you want. Be proactive, not reactive. I'm always the one, I'm thinking ahead. Okay, what can be done in this case? How can I help this person? I don't wait for a problem to explode. But then last but not least, pay it forward. It's just like when you go to Starbucks, You know, I know a lot of times when I go, I save up all my rewards, star rewards, and I'll pay for the person behind me. That's what I use those rewards for. But even more so than that, pay it forward. You have to, you cannot just go do it and keep it all to yourself. I am so happy that now I'm able to give back and help there be great, awesome teachers going out there into the teaching field. I am so happy that I'm able to give my wisdom, stuff that I have learned, to help them be as successful as possible. Same thing with you. And for whatever it is, pay it forward. Somebody helped you, whether you knew it or not, they helped you get to where you are. So do the same thing. And then last but not least, here's my contact information. I am willing at any point in time, and I do it for a number of people. If you just want to talk because you're not really sure where your mind is at the time, or if you just need navigations through different things, I'm here for you. And if you want to come to UCR, I'm gonna put that plug out there too. University of California, Riverside, look it up. It's rated quite high. Just give me a call and I will put you in contact with whoever you need to get in contact with for whatever reason, and try to, you know, do my best, network. But I hope that what you got from all this, again, is that even though circumstances can try to keep you down, it does not have to. It has to be what's in your mind and what you set out to do, and it can be done. And I'm open for any questions. I have 6 minutes left, Tim. So if there's any questions or any comments or anything, I'm gonna stop sharing now. I am available, okay?
Absolutely. I think the best way to do this is, if you do have a question, if you can use the bottom right, there's those reactions. If you click on that, I believe you have the opportunity to raise your hand, and that will certainly help me. And then I will try to get to as many questions as we possibly can in the 6 minutes that we have left.
Otherwise, I do have something. If no one has questions or has anything, I have an activity that I normally do at the end of each of my classes, where everybody's going to have to go around and give me a takeaway or a from what we discussed. And then that way, everybody gets a chance and to say
retrieval practice, like a master teacher.
That's it. So if nobody has anything, because I'm not seeing anything, we can close with that if that's okay with you. I turn it back over to you.
Sure. I actually, and maybe if I were to ask a question, maybe to warm up the crowd,
okay.
And they might be able to piggyback off of this, but I grew up in Baltimore, just south of Baltimore, and I was a relatively young teacher when Ferguson happened, and then obviously, you know, being from Baltimore and the Freddie Gray incident, it really struck close to home. And also being a history teacher, understanding a little bit more about, you know, the feelings of people in the 1960s, 1964 in Baltimore especially. And as a white male, I know that I am privileged in more ways than I can even think. It doesn't mean that I had a great life. It just means that my race didn't get in the way of me being able to attain things that I wanted. And I started reading a lot more. And one thing that struck me, I read Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. And it's amazing, your story, and you're just so resilient and so persistent, and just filled with such grit. But one thing that really struck me, he talks about the old adage of give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. But in many cases, people don't even have a fishing rod. So you having the opportunity, that opportunity to come to Mercersburg, you said changed your trajectory. Can you just speak about just that, taking advantage of that opportunity, and then and obviously, you know, discussing the fact that every opportunity that came your way, even if it wasn't the most attractive, you took advantage of, and look where it got you.
Okay. Yes. And I was just thinking about one. I remember I went out for the Marshall Franklin. Is it Marshall Franklin? The or whatever it is, weekend to be a declaimer. And I did not make it. And I was just hurt my feelings that I didn't, because I felt like I could. But that's something that I took advantage of. Anything that came, if there was, trying to think of some of the other things that, of course, I was one of those. I took advantage of every kind of tutoring session there was. I was not a good student. And when I got there and I was in, I think it was an English class, and the way that they were talking about existentialism and all this, I had no clue what they were talking about, but it just made me go back. Okay, now go back. What are you going to do? Read up on it, find out about it. I'm an observer. I sat back and I watched how everybody else, I watched how how my colleagues, my peers, how they were, what they did. And I had to pick and choose whether I was going to follow that crowd or not follow that crowd. And most of the time I didn't, because I felt like, and I'll be honest, I felt like that as being a Black student, I'd be kicked out before anybody else would be kicked out. Okay, possibly. Even though I found that they were pretty good with, if you got into trouble, you were gone. It didn't matter who you were. But you know, I took advantage of choir. I took piano lessons that were offered. I worked on the yearbook. I played, you know, just the stuff like I was not exposed to. I got to play tennis, okay? And I was good at it. Wouldn't know it by now, but you know, at the time I was. Just any and everything. And I wanted to be a leader, but I didn't know how to be a leader at the time. But anything that came my way, I just tried to do it. And again, you know, when we're talking about the history and being African American, I didn't know what was okay to do and what was not okay to do. When I went, I was told, make sure you don't get into trouble. That was the main thing. Make sure you don't get into trouble. Do what you're supposed to do. Follow the rules. That's what I did, because I just wanted to do what I needed to do, get out of there. And I knew that being at Mercersburg was going to help lead me somewhere else along the way. I just didn't know later on how I'd be able to give back to Mercersburg, which I did want to. And I am in my own way, but I don't know if that answers the question, but I just went ahead, made sure that I did everything. And I do teach unconscious biases, implicit biases. Just got finished with the 4-part series with that. But I just want to throw this in there. I have 2 grandsons. I worry for them. I do. I worry for them every time they leave the house. One is 11 years old. Of course, the other one is only 3. But the other night, I'm just going to bring it back around. My daughter has her own place now, finally, and she and the boys moved out. We had gone over to fix her dryer or something, bring her some stuff for Valentine's Day. And so we left. We made sure that, and she had to go move her car around to the garage. So we went, you know, when we left out, we made sure that she was getting ready to get into the car. She had the baby, putting them in. And as soon as we pulled off, she called and she said, "You won't believe what just happened. The police, 2 police cars rolled up on me." And I was like, "What?" Because, you know, I'm panicking at this point. And we turned back and she said, "It's just, there was nothing, but somebody called and said it was a female that was going through cars, a Black female." We shouldn't have to worry about that. We should not have to worry about it. And I thought about it and I told her, I said, well, make sure that our oldest, his name is Marquez, make sure Marquez does not go outside. And she's in a pretty decent area, okay? Make sure he does not go outside by himself without you, because I would hate to get a report or get a call that such and such happened. Luckily they said, "Oh, sorry, it's not you." But at the time you're pulling up and here it is, she's with her son, putting him in his car seat. So we're living in those times where it doesn't make sense to me, but it's real. Very, very real. Sorry about that, but anyway, I just had to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Okay. I know we're past the time, but can I just have everybody give one word of what they got out of this? Just one word. And then you can cut me off, okay? Okay, go ahead. Miles, you're first. Just one word.
Inspired.
Dwayne, you have to choose a word that nobody else can use. That's used.
My word is strength.
It's what?
Strength.
Great. Okay, thank you. Taylor.
Perseverance.
Ariana.
I was going to say perseverance as well.
Okay. Aiden.
Discipline.
Lewis.
Perseverance.
Jake.
Hope.
Victoria.
Appreciation.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Appreciation.
Okay. Kim.
I don't know if I can say this on here. I'm gonna say God.
Okay. I understand. Alex.
Opportunities.
Matthew.
I was gonna say that too. And I guess opportunity.
Want me to come back to you, or did you say something? I'm sorry. I'll come back to you. Okay, Frank.
Determination.
Elizabeth.
Hope.
Leilani.
I was going to say determination as well.
Okay, Jamil.
Grace, humility, and service.
Thank you. Tim.
Passion.
Okay, thank you. And Matthew.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Take yourself off mute. Okay.
Earlier I said, I was going to say opportunity, but also help.
Oh, okay. Thank you all for listening. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it was motivational, hopefully inspirational, and hopefully I met your objectives. Thank you so very much for having me. Appreciate it.
On behalf of Mercersburg, thank you so much, Dr. Edwards.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Edwards, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was I mean, it's just it's so I'm just trying to find the right word or adjective. I mean, it's kind of crazy just to in a word to sort of just understand and hear, you know, these different stories. And frankly, this is the first story. Yours is the first story of its kind that I've ever encountered. And just trying to imagine myself in your shoes, going through the experience at Mercersburg. And, you know, one of the questions that, you know, kind of spawned from me was, I mean, like, how did you, I guess, how did you, I mean, you talk about opportunity and, you know, really just rolling up your sleeves and just going after it and getting after it every day. Every opportunity that presented itself, you went and you dove in to grab it, whether you were good at it, you knew it, or you didn't, or you had an experience or you didn't. And it was just, I'm going for it. You know, what was it that drove you, that propelled you to do that? I mean, you sounded to me like you're introverted, not very kind of outgoing and gregarious and, you know, the middle of the social scene, you know, but yet and still, like, you had this compulsion to just go do things, and, you know, like, there was no fear. So I'm like, where was that kind of rooted? Where did that come from?
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know, except for I'm serious, because there was a lot of fear and trepidation. There were a lot of tears, but I guess it was one of those things of I did not want to be a statistic. I wanted to show that you could break the cycle. When I look at my other siblings, I'm the only one who graduated from college. The only one, even though a couple of them I think may have started. I think my brothers, I think they barely made it to through high school. Barely, if they graduated from high school. The girls, we did get started, and I'm the only one that continued. But it was a thing of, I sat back and I observed other people, and I saw that they had this, or they made this or that. I wanted to be the same way. And it was just one of those things of, okay, Denise, just go do it. And it was not easy. I am an introvert. Like I said, though, I can talk when I need to talk, okay? And especially if it's about education, that is my passion. I can talk for days. But when it comes down to just going out meeting people, it's hard. It was very hard, but I said, if I don't do it, I'm a wallflower. They don't know who I am. So let me at least just go try, okay? And you can have whatever thoughts or memories you want of me. And that did play a part, but I didn't want anybody to think ill of me. I want them to see me as a person who was going, if you gave me a job or you wanted me to do something, I was going to do it to the best of my ability. And you weren't going to be able to say that I didn't do it. I don't know. It's just something, I don't know what it was that was in me, because I don't see that with my other siblings. I don't. And I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Except for, like I said, I am faith-based, and I just said, my thing was, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. So I just go ahead, the punches, be flexible, do what I need to do. Okay. But it has not, even to this day, my husband a lot of times has to tell me, you can do it, you just don't realize you can do it. Just go do it. Now, he's my biggest cheerleader, of course. And my second set of foster parents that I've reconnected with, they have helped me tremendously. I talk to them as if I call them my parents. And they have, I believe, somewhat officially accepted me as their daughter. Okay, not foster daughter, but daughter. And I would say they're my next set of biggest cheerleaders that are just pushing me on to go ahead, do this, do that. But at that age, it was just that I did not want to end up, quote unquote, don't forget, back in that day, we called it the ghetto. I didn't want to end up in the ghetto. That was what I wanted. I wanted to get out of it. I was not going to have any babies, without being married. And I was going to college because that was just something, every time I saw a graduation, I was like, I want to be a part of that. Even with the doctorate, I just had to, because I wanted to have it. So I just think, I don't know, not coming from anywhere I don't know, except for my faith and my belief that I can do it. And that's basically it. And I know there was a lot more that I could have told, but time, and I know how it is with students. Unless I have a relationship with them, they're not really going to be, that involved. But there's a lot, and I thought about writing a book. Pedro Noguera, who's at USC, has spoken to me about doing something.
That would be amazing.
I just don't know. I don't know.
What? This is Dr. Denise Edwards. She just told us, like, any opportunity, jump in, go do it. And you're like, I don't know. Oh, so that means you're writing the book. I'm finished.
You don't know that you can do it yet.
Right.
Okay, I haven't done it yet. Okay, not yet, but it's coming. It's coming. It will come. And I think the book is the route that I'm going to go.
Awesome. I can't wait.
It'll be required reading at Mercersburg for sure. At least with my students when it's published.
I have started. I have an outline, so it's just a matter of me going forward. So thank you all for the encouragement. Because I just didn't know how it would go over with this, but I felt like I should share it because. And I'm gonna be honest, I was just surprised that I didn't see more Black students on, because I really wanted to encourage them as much as I want to encourage everybody, but I really, because I understand, I get it. It's not easy out there. And I didn't even really go into that part about what all I really have encountered being a Black female. I haven't even gone into that, but again, perseverance. And I do have my group, my circle, where we do work with each other as African-American females to make sure that we keep everybody held, each one of us, we're held accountable and we hold each other accountable.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, I can tell you that, I mean, our school needs you. Our community needs you. The world needs you, obviously. But I mean, we have now affinity spaces on campus, and that would be something where, and gosh, I hope that, and I think the school does a great job of staying in contact with alumni, but you know, we have those spaces now where students can go, and I mean, would love to have opportunities for speakers to go and talk to our predominantly Black students, because I think that would be really beneficial in a lot of ways. So we can certainly get you into contact with those affinity leaders.
Okay. All right. Well, I just appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much. It looks like this is going to end at 3:15. So
okay,
instead of going to that awkward cutout stage.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. I mean, I can certainly sign off, and you can certainly continue the conversation, but it is going to go off at about
3:15 in 1 minute. Okay. I hear my grandson. He just got here, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to him.
Yeah,
Okay?
my kids are going crazy too.
Okay.
It was a
All right,
pleasure
thank
meeting you.
all. Nice
Thank you
meeting
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Kim.
much,
All
Dr.
right.
Edwards.
Bye.
All right. So you can call me Denise, not Dr.
All
Edwards.
right, Denise,
is
you
good.
got it.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.